Okay, I have a little bit of a confession to make, and that's that when I started recording about 15 years ago, I used to hang my microphones upside down like this. And the reason being is I thought it looked cool. We've all seen the pictures of, Michael Jackson and Frank Sinatra and the big studios with, the massive C-stands booming these microphones in from across the room. And it looks really cool, it looks impressive. But is there actually a functional purpose to this? Well, I've got 6 reasons why you might want to hang your microphone upside down. Okay, so the number one rationale for hanging these microphones upside down actually dates back to tube microphones. And the reason being is inside of a tube microphone, there is a tube down here, and this will heat up quite significantly while you're using it. And so what they didn't want to happen was have this heat rise, damage this componentry, and heat up the diaphragm, which may actually change the tone of the diaphragm throughout your recording. Now, flipping the microphone upside down will allow the heat to escape out of this tube without affecting the electronics or the diaphragm, resulting in a more consistent tone throughout your recording process. But tube microphones don't get that hot while you're recording, and the componentry here is certainly designed with these heat tolerances in mind. And also the diaphragm is designed for this as well. You can see inside here, there's a layer of metal, and that's gonna help with some interference as well as to keep that heat from hitting the diaphragm. But you can definitely argue that some of the heat will affect the diaphragm no matter what. It's bound to happen, they're in close proximity. Can you actually hear this difference? So I'm gonna play 2 audio samples for you. The first one was recorded 1 minute after turning on the microphone. The second one was recorded 90 minutes after turning on the microphone. And let's see if we can hear a difference.
So take the risk and make the fall, even if the jump is steep, 'cause you can't be standing still if you got 2 feet. So take the risk and make the fall, even if the jump is steep, 'cause you can't be standing still if you got 2 feet.
Now, it's worth noting that the body of the microphone is really only around 2 degrees Celsius warmer than the ambient air in my home, which was set at around 21 degrees Celsius. But I will say, I think the second sample sounds a little bit better to me, and I think it has more to do with the tube saturation, which you get from having tubes on for long enough for them to heat up to their full potential. Similar to like a guitar amp, when you turn that on, you're gonna get a bit of a different tone after the tubes have warmed up. And reason number 2 for hanging a microphone above a singer, that's that as they start to tilt their head up slightly, it really forces open the airway, which results in a much more natural and sort of rich sound. You can actually test this principle out yourself. If you sing a low note like la 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 la, la la la. If you look down, it's really hard to get that same note out, but la 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 la. If you look up just a little bit, it really increases that airflow and helps you project those notes. Reason number 3, and in my opinion, probably one of the most valuable reasons, is that as you take the microphone slightly off axis like this, you greatly reduce the risk of them popping their Ps because their airway is now passing the microphone instead of going directly into the microphone. Okay, reason number 4 is the center of gravity. So a lot of these shock mounts will grab the microphone right from the bottom, in which case they're quite unstable unless you're hanging them like this. Now, the U87 is a great example of this. The shock mount screws into the bottom, and that's where it's mounting the microphone from. The Neumann U47 and the AKG C12, which is what this microphone's modeled after, they have this style of shock mount where you can actually adjust the microphone in the shock mount to make sure that it's the most balanced. But in our example with Frank Sinatra, he's singing into the U47, although it has what's called the swivel mount on it. And this is what grabs the microphone right from the bottom, making it much more stable to mount from above. Although that didn't seem to be an issue for the Beatles, John Coltrane, and even Frank Sinatra in another session. Reason number 5. I'm a big believer in the idea that a clean session makes better recordings. I'm a huge believer in that. I run really neat cable lines. I'm totally obsessed with making it look neat because I feel like it brings better performances out of people when they're not distracted by clutter or a mess. And I think there's an argument to be made that it's a better experience for a singer when you fly the microphone in from above and you leave that space for them to be completely unimpeded. It gives them more room to spread out and of course, a much easier time reading music from their music stand. And finally, reason number 6, and this has more to do with miking from above in general, which you can do if the microphone's right side up or upside down. It lends itself really well if it's upside down, just because again, the stands are out of the way. But that's that you're pointing the microphone down towards the subject's body. Now, when a singer sings, their instrument is the whole body. Well, it's the upper half of the body, let's say. When you're pointing the microphone like this, you're really just recording their head. A lot of warmth comes from a singer's chest, and so having the microphone just at a slight angle down is also gonna have the added advantage that you're recording their whole instrument. You're recording all of them as opposed to just capturing their face, you know? That's gonna give you a bit of a richer tone. You're gonna get some of that warmth coming off of their chest, and hopefully it's gonna sound much better. Okay, enough reasons, but can we actually hear the difference between miking above and below? Let's jump into some samples here. We've got some voiceover samples and some singing samples.
At 39 weeks pregnant, baby is as big as a pumpkin. Your 39-week fetus measures about 20 inches long and weighs about 7.3 pounds. And baby just keeps growing, despite being so crowded inside your 39 weeks pregnant belly. At 39 weeks pregnant, baby is as big as a pumpkin. Your 39-week fetus measures about 20 inches long and weighs about 7.3 pounds. And baby just keeps growing, despite being so crowded inside your 39 weeks pregnant belly.
You've got tons of love inside you to give away, and I can bear to see you let it go to waste. The only thing that I really want to see is that you save your love for me. You've got tons of love inside you to give away, and I can bear to see you let it go to waste. The only thing that I really want to see is that you save your love for me.
Okay, you'll have to let me know what you think down in the comments if you could hear a difference or not. So does it really matter if the microphone is right side up or upside down? In my opinion, not really. I don't think so. I think the only 2 points of value in there are, one, you're getting a clean workspace for your talent. The second reason is that if you're getting the microphone off of your subject and then tilting it down a little bit, you lessen that risk of plosives. Whether or not it makes a noticeable difference in the recording, I don't know. That said, I always try to follow the idea that in recording, you make 1,000 different decisions, and these decisions are greater than the sum of their parts. If you're making intentional decisions based on what sounds better and what you think should be better, it's probably making for a better recording. Bottom line is, trust your ears and have fun with it. You got this. All right.